Have you ever noticed that your compassion, instead of lifting others, sometimes leaves you feeling drained, misunderstood, or even used? This paradox lies at the heart of Stoic wisdom. Not everyone deserves your help. The ancient Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, were not unkind men. They valued virtue, community, and justice. But they also knew that indiscriminate giving, without discernment, could corrupt both giver and receiver. Compassion without boundaries doesn't elevate, it enslaves. This is not a call to coldness. Instead, it's a call to clarity. Stoicism teaches us that our peace of mind is our greatest treasure. And if we squander it on people who will never change, never appreciate, or only manipulate, we betray the very virtue we seek to practice. In this extended exploration, we will uncover the 7 types of people you should not help, not out of malice, but out of wisdom. Along the way, I'll blend Stoic philosophy with personal reflections, real-world stories, and lessons that took me years to learn. My goal is to help you not only identify these people, but also to guard your emotional energy, set firm boundaries, and reclaim your inner calm. Stay with me to the end because the last type we'll cover reveals perhaps the most toxic of all, the person whose envy silently corrodes even the purest acts of kindness. Let's begin. 1. The perpetual victim. What the Stoics say. The first type is the perpetual victim. This person wears helplessness as a permanent identity. They are always unlucky, always wronged, always trapped by forces beyond their control. They don't seek solutions, they seek sympathy. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The perpetual victim resists this wisdom. They focus only on external misfortunes and refuse to see that their power lies in response, not circumstance. By rushing to help them again and again, you don't empower them, you cement their dependency. You unintentionally validate their belief that the world is against them and that only others can save them. My reflection. I once had a friend who lived in this mindset. Every coffee meeting began with an avalanche of complaints about work, relationships, health. I offered advice, shared resources, even connected them with opportunities. Weeks passed, months passed, nothing changed. The same complaints recycled, almost word for word. At first, I mistook my patience for kindness, but slowly I realized my help wasn't help at all. It was fuel for their cycle. They didn't want solutions. They wanted my emotional labor as proof that their helplessness mattered. The Stoics would say, discernment is compassion. By stepping back, I wasn't abandoning my friend. I was respecting their agency, the right to confront their struggles without me as a permanent crutch. A practical Stoic strategy. Ask yourself, is my help empowering this person or enabling their victimhood? Offer once, give advice, share tools, provide guidance. If they take no action, step back. Protect your energy, channel it toward those who seek growth, not pity. Stoicism is not cruelty, it's clarity. Helping perpetual victims is like watering a plant that refuses sunlight. Your water won't help until the plant reaches for the sun itself. 2. The unappreciative. What the Stoics say. Next is the unappreciative, the one who accepts help without gratitude, as though your generosity were a duty. Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. In the company of the ungrateful, your thoughts darken, weighed down by resentment. The Stoics emphasize that giving should be rational, not transactional. We should not expect rewards. But there is a difference between giving freely and being treated as a resource to be mined. Gratitude is the bridge that turns giving into connection. Without it, the act collapses. My reflection. A colleague once leaned heavily on my support. I stayed late to help them meet deadlines, explained processes, even covered for their mistakes. Not once did they acknowledge it. Instead, they complained that I hadn't done enough. That silence, and worse, criticism, cut deeper than exhaustion. It made me question whether my efforts had meaning at all. Over time, I realized the truth. I wasn't helping, I was enabling entitlement. Stoicism reminded me, I control my choices, not their response. My choice then was to step back, and when I did, I found relief. My compassion found new recipients, those who appreciated and grew from it. Practical Stoic strategy. Recognize imbalance. If giving feels obligatory rather than voluntary, it's no longer virtuous. Redefine help. True help is not infinite supply, it's meaningful contribution. Step away. Gratitude is not payment, but it is respect. Without respect, your peace erodes. Helping the unappreciative is like pouring water into a cracked vessel. No matter how much you give, nothing remains. Stoicism teaches us to invest wisely, not endlessly. 3. The lazy, what the Stoics say. The third type is the lazy. Not laziness as a temporary rest, but as a lifestyle, a refusal to act, to change, to grow. These people complain yet avoid effort. They lean on others to shoulder their burdens. Stoics valued action. Epictetus declared, "No great thing is created suddenly." Progress requires sweat, repetition, discipline. To help someone unwilling to act is to waste not only your effort, but also your most precious resource, time. Marcus Aurelius warned, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about your neighbors." Helping the lazy is exactly that, a misuse of life. My reflection, I once invested months in mentoring a distant relative. They lamented their poor job, broken routines, failed ambitions. I suggested small steps: wake earlier, apply for one new role, exercise lightly. Weeks later, nothing. Their excuses multiplied, their inertia thickened. At some point, I realized I wasn't their mentor, I was their excuse. My help allowed them to pretend progress was happening, even as they stood still. By removing myself, I left them with two options: remain stagnant or finally act. Practical Stoic strategy. Differentiate rest from laziness. Rest restores. Laziness avoids. Give tools, not crutches. Suggest strategies once, then step back. Guard your time. Each hour wasted on laziness is an hour stolen from purpose. Helping the lazy is like pushing a boulder uphill while they pull it back down. Stoicism calls us to act with reason, and reason says, 5. The chronic critic, what the Stoics say. Constructive criticism is a gift. It can sharpen our judgment, refine our actions, and help us grow. But there is another kind of criticism that corrodes rather than cultivates, the constant, unreasoned attack. The chronic critic never sees good in anything. They nitpick, belittle, and sow doubt, not to improve, but to diminish. The Stoics warned against giving power to such people. Marcus Aurelius counseled, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do." When you repeatedly help a chronic critic by giving them time, defending your worth, or trying harder to please, you simply strengthen their negativity. Instead of growth, you enable their poison. My reflection. I once worked with a manager who never offered encouragement. Every project was dissected for flaws, no matter how small. If I achieved something early, they said I was rushing. If I took time for detail, they accused me of being slow. Praise was non-existent. For months, I tried harder. I re-edited, rewrote, represented, but nothing satisfied them. Worse, I began doubting my own abilities. That's when Stoic philosophy gave me clarity. You cannot control their words, only your response. Instead of bending, I began to stand. I stopped chasing their approval and measured success by my own standards of discipline and progress. Their criticism lost its sting. By stepping back emotionally, I reclaimed my peace. The chronic critic continued their cycle, but I was no longer a participant. Practical Stoic strategy. Recognize projection. Chronic critics often attack from their own dissatisfaction. Disengage calmly. Don't argue endlessly. Withdraw your energy. Redefine success. Measure by your values, not their judgments. Helping the chronic critic is like shouting into a storm. The storm doesn't change, it only drowns your voice. Stoicism says, save your breath for calmer skies. 6. The opportunist, what the Stoics say. The opportunist wears the mask of friendliness but is driven by self-interest. They appear only when they need something, vanishing once their gain is secured. On the surface, they may seem harmless, even charming, but their presence is transactional. They do not value mutual support. They value access to your time, skills, or resources. Stoic philosophy emphasizes justice, fairness, and sincerity. To help an opportunist violates all three. Seneca warned, associate with people who are likely to improve you. Opportunists do the opposite. They drain improvement from you without offering any in return. My reflection. I once partnered with someone in a professional project. At first, they seemed engaged, but soon I realized they contributed little. They leaned heavily on my work, my contacts, my ideas. When credit came, they stood at the front. When responsibility arrived, they disappeared. Initially, I justified it. Maybe they're just busy. Maybe they'll reciprocate later. But later never came. I was a resource, not a partner. When I finally stopped accommodating them, I felt liberated. I realized my energy should be invested in people who practice reciprocity. Helping an opportunist only extends their illusion of integrity. Practical Stoic strategy. Observe patterns. Do they vanish when you need help? Do they appear only when they gain? Refuse one-way giving. Relationships require balance. Withdraw gracefully. Preserve dignity, yours and theirs, by stepping away. Helping opportunists is like pouring seeds onto barren soil. Nothing grows but weeds. Stoicism urges us to plant in fields where gratitude and growth can flourish. 7. The envious. What the Stoics say. The final type is the most insidious, the envious. Envy is not just a private torment, it poisons relationships. The envious person resents your success, undermines your efforts, and views your kindness not as generosity, but as provocation. Marcus Aurelius observed, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." Envious people live in a prison of comparison. Your achievements are mirrors reflecting their perceived inadequacy. Instead of accepting help, they twist it into proof that you are ahead, that they are less. Helping the envious doesn't breed gratitude, it breeds further resentment. My reflection. A friend once responded to my small successes with strained smiles and backhanded compliments. "Oh, must be nice for you." When I offered help, introducing them to contacts, suggesting resources, they responded with suspicion, as if my help was a display of superiority. I realized no amount of generosity could pierce their armor of resentment. In their eyes, every gesture confirmed their imagined inferiority. The Stoics would say, envy belongs to them, not to you. It is their thought pattern, their prison. You cannot free them with gifts. You can only choose not to be dragged inside. Practical Stoic strategy: don't internalize envy. Their resentment reflects their battle, not your worth. Avoid overgiving. Help will not dissolve their envy, it may intensify it. Choose your circle. Surround yourself with those who celebrate, not resent, your growth. Helping the envious is like adding water to salt, it only spreads the bitterness. Stoicism tells us, invest your compassion where it nurtures, not where it corrodes. Extended conclusion. Stoic discernment in action. We've walked through 7 types of people the Stoics would warn us not to help. The perpetual victim, the unappreciative, the lazy, the manipulator, the chronic critic, the opportunist, the envious. At first glance, this list may feel harsh. Isn't compassion universal? Shouldn't kindness be unconditional? The Stoics would say, compassion without wisdom is not kindness, it is self-harm. When we help blindly, we drain ourselves and reinforce harmful patterns in others. True virtue is measured not by how much we give, but by whether our giving aligns with reason, justice, and growth. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. To be a good person is not to serve endlessly, but to serve wisely. To protect your tranquility is not selfishness, it is strength. My final reflection. I used to think setting boundaries meant failing others. Now I see boundaries as a gift. By saying no to those who exploit, manipulate, or resent, I say yes to peace, clarity, and meaningful relationships. I save my help for those who are grateful. They honor the effort. Active. They take responsibility. Sincere. They seek balance, not exploitation. Supportive. They celebrate mutual growth. This is not indifference. It is discernment. And discernment is the essence of Stoic wisdom. So I leave you with a question. Where in your life are you pouring energy into the wrong people? Pause. Reflect. Ask yourself, does this person drain me or uplift me? Do I leave their presence heavier or lighter? If the answer points to heaviness, perhaps it is time to step back, not in cruelty, but in courage. Protect your energy, redirect your compassion, preserve your tranquility. Because at the end of life, the Stoics remind us our most valuable resource is not money, reputation, or even time. It is the state of our soul. Guard it well.